Well, greetings, everybody. Oh, we're in for a delight again today. Cheryl here, Feng Shui with Anita and Cheryl, or maybe she's over there. Yay. Anyway, thank you for joining us here on Facebook and or YouTube, wherever you happen to see this interview. On YouTube, our channel is Feng Shui with Anita and Cheryl, and our playlist is the Flock, F.L.A.W.C, which is an endearment from our friend Lee Carroll for Fruit Loop and Wind Chime. I gotta love it. Gotta love it. Now, our intention behind this is to introduce our F.L.A.W.C to you, to our flock, to our circle, to our family, to whomever is watching this, because we have realized we have a lot of amazingly talented, gifted people in our lives, and we just can't keep them to ourselves any longer. We've got to share them.
Absolutely.
So, Anita, you're up. Who's our guest?
Well, I am so happy and thrilled and honored to introduce my friend, Stacie Shifflett. And Stacie, the crowd goes wild. And Stacie currently is in Virginia. And I, was really blessed to spend some time in her home in Florida. And, I've got my suitcase ready to go anytime.
Right.
I'm back there, just saying. But what's really interesting, and again, I just love how the universe works.
Right.
Because Stacie, you and I met at a spiritual conference in New Mexico back in 2019, I believe it was. And there was some amazing headliners on that stage. Dr. Bruce Lipton was there, Joe Dispenza, Anita Morjani, and the list goes on. And there was 16. So get this, there's 1,600 people from all over the world at this event in New Mexico. And Stacie and I meet, and it's like, right? Mm-hmm. You just know when you have found one of your kindred spirits or your kindred souls. And we just had a great connection, and we just kind of kept in touch after the event. And yeah, it was just beautiful. So I'm happy that we've been able to, develop this relationship since then. But it's curious to me how, because I don't know that you and I have ever had this conversation. How did you go from being a business owner of a construction company, of a large construction company, doing framing for these big buildings and all of that kind of stuff? How do you go from that kind of
environment
experience or an environment to going to this spirituality, bridge the gap for us? How did your interest in new consciousness or new awareness, how did that all kind of start?
Well, I had, like many people, I had a personal challenge. I had been married for 28 years, and the marriage sort of imploded. It left me in a really funny place, right? I was very angry, and I was angry for, I don't know, probably 2 years, really angry. Everything I did on the outside was good. I had started this construction business right before we separated. So at first I just did everything I needed to do to set up a home, and I focused on those things, and I just carried this anger within me for a while, and I kept thinking that it would just dissipate, right? That time would just heal the wound. And it didn't. It just didn't. And I got, it's grief really, but I got stuck in anger. And after a couple of years of that, I just had an ignite moment, right? Where I said, that's it. The anger has to go. And I sought counsel with a woman here in the town of Warrenton, Virginia, that does energetic healing and does some coaching, and she's the one that I first went and met with. And one of the first books she introduced me to was the Four Agreements. And anyway, I worked with her and she did some energetic work, and I was just utterly amazed at how she could see me and feel things energetically and tune into things. And she really was a very, very big help. I booked a number of sessions with her, and that's what initially started me into this journey of reading, and starting to learn and starting to meditate and so on and so forth. Then I discovered Tony Robbins, which is maybe not somebody you would think of in the spiritual realm. But again, with the synchronicities, I was watching, I watched his special on Netflix, I Am Not Your Guru. And I was like, oh my God, there was one coming up in Florida, one of his Unleash the Power Within, I think it was, which was, a short flight away. And it was in just a few weeks. And I booked it and went there with the knowledge that I would become a platinum partner in his program, not knowing what that was. And it's a phenomenal program. I did that for 2 years. And I basically called Tony my gateway drug.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I love it.
where I was introduced to all these concepts that we all talk about routinely now, right? The quantum physics and energy and relationships and meditation and awareness and, all of this stuff. And from there, I just continued to gobble up everything I could, learn everything I could. I guess much like like anybody else, I just was really hungry for it, and was trying to put everything that I learned into the context of my life and sort of reconfigure my life. And that led to me literally undoing everything in my life. I completely deconstructed my life. I
Wow.
closed my company, decided to move somewhere else. So it's been a lot. It's been it's been big. It's been
So
And
I
big.
that's
guess
only in the last few years?
Yes. Yes. It took me, my construction company is now closed. I closed it last year. Couldn't get it sold, managed to figure out a deal where I got all of my employees taken care of, for the most part, all except a couple. Everybody stayed with me to the very end. They knew what was going on. A very dedicated and loyal team. I mean, they treated me really well. I treated them really well. We had a lot of respect. Yeah, and I just shut everything down, and there has to be something more, right? Something had to change. And I'm very glad to have gotten out of the industry right at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
We were essential business, so we didn't have to close, but I was just finishing up a couple of jobs. We did 4 and 5 story apartment buildings in DC.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I didn't have to deal with the lumber prices and, all of that stuff. But I guess like you ladies, you follow your instincts and your intuition, right?
Cool.
Yeah. So I woke up one
So the
day and
experience that you had in your construction business, likely, part of that was the catalyst or very helpful in you reconstructing your whole life. So prior to, like, let's say go back 5 years ago, you'd never picked up a spiritual book or had any idea of some of these thought leaders and people.
I had read some from time to time, but like so many of us, I just was busy with life.
Mm.
I was doing my thing. I was building a career, raising my family. I have a habit of reinventing myself anyway, about every 10 years. I've been in the IT industry. I did an acquisition of a $50 million company without any money, which was
Unheard of.
yeah, that was unusual. And it took me 9 months to do it. And I pulled in another team member with me to help me do it. And we got what they term sweat equity in return. So when that company flipped, when the investors flipped, I took my money and got out. And that was in the IT field. And then I did construction, but I've raised llamas. I had a llama farm for, I don't know, 15, 18 years.
Love it.
I was in the restaurant and bar business. My first 10-year career was that. I decided I should get out of that when I got married and get a real job. So I've done a lot of different things in a lot of different fields.
Very cool. So I love how you rephrase that, or that you reinvent yourself.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah.
have something that you've noticed that triggers that reinvention? Like, does boredom set in? Do you get an insight? What would you say if you could define it? And sometimes you just can't. You just get the impulse, bam, I'm doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, speak on that if you can, like, if you will.
Well, I'd have to say for the most part, it's probably an impulse. I mean, my first industry change, right, from the hospitality industry to the IT industry, which really, of course, I didn't get an IT job at first, right, was I felt necessary to be supportive of a marriage, right? So I wouldn't be working nights and weekends and all of that. At that point, I really was just doing word processing and some bookkeeping, but her staff kept leaving and I kept stepping in to fill the roles. So, for example, I ended up at Department of Health and Human Services probably around 1984, rolling out the first IBM desktop computers to the entire agency. I just caught on and did it. I'd say mostly just by impulse, purchasing that company was an impulse. I literally walked into a friend's office one day and said, "Hey, let's go buy this company." I mean, I knew the company, I had worked for them. I knew the people, I knew the space. I was considered a subject matter expert in that area at the time. And then once I grab a hold of something, I just, I'm kind of like a dog with a bone, I guess the saying is, I just go. That's how I ended up in Sarasota, Florida. I literally woke up one day and I had a strong intuitive feeling. I'd never been to Sarasota. I may have when I was a child. I don't remember, but I just woke up and said, "That's where I need to be." And within a couple of weeks, I was on a plane and down there and with a realtor and bought a house.
And it's a beautiful house.
Thank
That's
you.
the
I
one
can't
I'm
wait till you come
coming
back.
back to. Yes. So this is,
Yeah.
this is great. Stacie, so you say reinventing yourself.
Mhm.
And I mean, we could talk to you for hours, but, of course, Cheryl always tells me to zip it up. But I'm really excited because I know that you've been working on a project and it's again, perhaps been a catalyst to reinvent yourself and and there's a really special person that you're doing this project with, and I'm going to let you tell us all about it. But I just want to give everybody a little glimpse that there's a new book coming out and Stacie is part of it. And yeah, we want to hear your power quote, what the book is called, and who's that really cool person that you are on the book with,
Yes. I'm doing a book. It's called Ignite the Hunger in You. And it is published by Ignite Publishing, who's an empowerment publishing house that puts JB Owen is the CEO, and her motto is ignite what is it? Ignite a billion people with a billion words. And she does these beautiful collaboration books with people that have stories, just like you and me and everybody else in the world. Right? It
Anita's
puts
been
them
in
together.
one.
She has, I know.
Mhm.
So this particular book is with Les Brown, right? The
Ooh.
great American motivational speaker.
The legendary Les Brown and Stacie Shifflett in the same book.
Yes, it's been an amazing process.
Wow.
He's been amazing to work with. JB has been amazing to work with. The book will be out December 6th, I believe, is the availability date. It can be purchased now. You can get an e-copy of the book from Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or any of the major distributors. And I think the ebook right now at the pre-launch price is $1.99.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
and we all we already are listed as #1 in the personal motivation section. I think it is, with the downloads that have been done.
Wow.
You can't actually download it until it's launched, but with the purchases. So that's really exciting. And how that came to be, may I share that, Miss Anita, how that
Absolutely.
came to be? Because I've had a couple of years ago, I got a vision. I don't know what else to call it other than that, to start a company, and you know, a company with a mission, to help people in the world, to raise the awareness, to raise the consciousness of the world. And the company, I've incorporated it now, so I guess I can tell you the name. It's Modern Consciousness, and it's going to focus on conscious living in the modern world. And I feel very called to do that, and to do that at a level that communicates difficult concepts, you know, to all of us, right? Just the common people, for lack of a better term, right? The major populace. I think the timing is really phenomenal. I think with everything that's gone on in the world the last year and a half, I think we have, you know, there's a lot of people that have a need for that. They realize that they've been dissatisfied in their life, or they're looking for something more. But I had resisted that for probably about 2 years. And I was down at my home in Florida, and I was meditating, and it's, you know, my intention for my meditation was, okay, just because the idea just will not leave me alone. It will not go away. I've tried. It just won't go away. So my intention was, just show me the next step. And the word that I got in my meditation was right, you know, WRITE, right. And I said, okay. But the difference that time with me saying okay was that I did actually surrender and say, okay, I will do it. And within a couple of hours, I received a text from Anita. She's over there for me here, but I received a text message from Anita that said, hey, my friend JB has a slot open in this book, this powerful, powerful book with Les Brown. And she said, would you like me to make an introduction? Well, you can't say no, right? I'm like,
Okay.
okay.
And you went, wow, that was fast.
So she connected us, and probably within 24 hours, I was signed onto the project. And then in speaking with JB, realizing that that I could leverage this opportunity to launch this company. So that's what I'm doing. So it's a little bit busy right now with all of the great activities that we have going on with the book, and all the wonderful coaching that we're getting with that process from Les Brown, from JB Owen, and then of course just business planning, right? Getting all of that sort of put together. And I've decided I'm just really going to enjoy the process. I'm going to start slow. I'm going to start where I can and see how it all unfolds. And I've really kind of done all this on faith. And they tell us, you know, and then we just don't necessarily believe it. But if you take a step, the next step will appear.
Yes.
And I've got goosebumps even just telling you, you know, you girls this. But and that's kind of what I decided when I said yes to my meditation. I said yes to Anita. I said yes to JB. And I am just amazed at the synchronicities that are unfolding, that are helping me do this. And literally, as I take a step, the next thing appears. As I take a step, the next thing appears. It's just an amazing process. I'm almost speechless about it, right?
Yeah.
So
that's so exciting. So Stacie, if you don't mind my asking, now most of the people that we have interviewed on here, we see a little bit of a pattern. And I'm really curious, because obvious to me from quite a young age, you have trusted. You've really trusted those intuitive moments when you get the impulse to do something. Most people that I know, anyway, myself included, would not have made the jumps that you have made and dove like literally head first. How was it when you were growing up? Like, was your family, were you supported? Were you encouraged to develop and listen to your intuition? Like, what was your upbringing like?
I was very much encouraged to listen to it, and I just call it my little voice, and it's always been there. It's always urged me to be very independent
Mhm.
and make my own choices, and live my own life. Some have been good, some have not been so good. But I wouldn't change anything, right? I wouldn't change anything. My family was very supportive of that and always encouraging me to know that I could do anything that I set my
Nice.
mind to. But my bent towards independence was a little bit at odds with my mother, who sort of ruled the house, right? She sort of
Gotcha.
ruled the roost. Um, but yeah, I've always just sort of listened to that voice, and sometimes it's been very impulsive and taken me to some very different places. um but it's all been good. I really had a very, very strong feeling at an early age that I needed to just do my thing.
Mhm.
I went and got a job when I was 16 years old. My parents didn't know about it till I came home with the paperwork to get them to sign. When I was a junior in high school, the principal called my parents and said, "Did you know your daughter walked into my office today and announced that she's graduating this year? That somehow she has to figure out how to graduate high school this year or she's quitting." And my parents were like, "No, I hated high school. Oh my God, I hated it." And I graduated that year.
Wow.
So, yeah, I graduated a year early, but I've always had a penchant for managing my independence and honoring that.
Mhm.
Mm, awesome.
Um,
So many people could learn from that. And,
Oh,
again, it's really, really interesting that all of these things that happen to any of us in our life have happened for us on
mhm.
purpose to bring us to this moment right now. And again, I just want to share with our audience how truly gifted and talented you are, and listening to that intuition and just steaming full bore ahead. Because I jokingly said to you last week, was it last week or the week before, I jokingly said, okay, Stacie, you're going to need a bigger wall, because you're just like, so I mean, this book title is perfect for you, right? Ignite the hunger in you, because that is literally what you have been doing the past 4 years, just like gobbling up everything. And I know that you did your NLP training, and what else have you gobbled up, and all those things that are going to appear on the wall and be part of the modern consciousness project that you're doing.
yeah, I'm a certified performance coach with Brendon Burchard, and I renewed that certification this week. I got another coaching certification also to get my neuro-linguistic programming certification, and I got level 2 on that with Shani Unsaw and her company, which is just a galactic experience, and she really has formulated her life around her vision and redone her entire life as well. I've got probably 15 theta healing certifications at this point.
Wow.
And I will have to say that the theta healing classes that I did earning those certifications was some of the most profound work in really understanding our beliefs.
Mm.
Who knew we had all those beliefs, right? Where they originated from, how we hold on to them, from this lifetime, from previous lifetimes, generational history. That was really a very profound process for me, and I did an enormous amount of healing in that. Um, And then I've signed up for a couple of other classes. I've finished one, and they're offered through University of Pennsylvania on uh, the science of emotional well-being, and it's just been amazing. And that's part of why I say it's so cool how things just sort of plop in my lap, and it's so aligned with what I want to do, and I'm getting a second certification from there. And yeah, I don't know. I keep learning, and I kind of had gotten to a point about a year ago where I was getting a little bit bored learning because I felt like it was time to start putting it to use.
Use.
But again, as I said, I resisted very strongly for about 2 years, where I was like, no, I'm not the person to do this. Why me? Why do I want to do that at this time in my life?
And that's
So on and so
conversations you're
forth.
having with your intuition.
Yes, with my higher self,
Self,
with spirit, with the guides, whoever. They're a funny bunch. They're really quite a funny bunch. Yeah. They have a great sense of humor.
Yeah, bring on more, because I'm gonna
Yeah.
dive in.
I
Well,
can't
and you have,
differentiate
the
who's who.
Channelers Academy, right? I mean, that's how you
I
met
did,
Cheryl.
yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Right.
I've
And
been
so
I've been
again,
doing
that's
that with
really
Cheryl.
interesting. That's really interesting, again, how the universe works, right? So you and I met, and then I don't think Cheryl and I'd ever had a conversation. Well, maybe.
Well, you shared pictures when you were in Florida.
Oh, yeah,
at
when
her
I was
house.
in Florida. That's right. Yeah, I might have FaceTimed you and said, hey, wanna but then, like months later or whatever, all of a sudden Cheryl's your channeling partner, right?
Yeah.
And so again, it's like, wow, what's this all about?
So it's all just interconnected, right? It just
We
starts.
are.
Yeah. It really is quite an amazing process.
So in everything, and the time is gone again, as it usually flies with us like crazy. In everything that you're doing, Stacie, traveling between two homes, you're still a mom, you're starting a new business, you're publishing a book. Do you have time for, or does all of this really fill you up? Does this bring joy into your life?
It's bringing a lot of joy right now because I got my passion back. I really had lost that spark. And I didn't quite know what to do, right? My construction company, that wasn't fulfilling. My marriage was over. The things that I thought I would be looking forward to in doing at this stage is not, that didn't happen. The amazing thing is life, we go through these hardships thinking that it'll be, it's the end of us, and it really isn't. It's the beginning of a new us, and it's amazing that it can be so much better than it was. And I traveled, I've traveled the world the last few years pre-COVID, right? COVID kind of put a damper on that. So I'm grateful for those experiences as well. But I really, I was literally last week one evening. I was listening to one of my classes, and I'm like, oh my God, it was just so aligned, and I was astonished at how aligned it was with what I'm working to do and what I feel called to do. And I literally was dancing in the kitchen, and I was like, damn, I think I'm back. I think that person that used to, make these decisions and make things happen is back. And I really did lose her for a while. So
Cool.
that feels really good.
And how powerful to be able to integrate. So often when we go down that spirituality road, we think, I can't be the independent doer. And you're proving that wrong.
Well,
You're proving that theory wrong.
Thank you. And that's one of the things I want to focus on with modern consciousness. And I'm going to start out with individual coaching, one-on-one coaching, because that's what I can offer. My vision is much bigger than that, but I have to
Mhm.
I have to do it in steps. But I think that we go through crisis or conflict, or we're just coping, right? And then a lot of us seek learning, but we never integrate that learning.
Mhm.
And the key to it, the key to getting to flow, is integrating it. And I think that I have a lot to offer people in the way of how to do that, having done it myself. Um,
Mhm.
and I find that a lot of people also that go to a lot of these training seminars and whatnot, and I've studied with many great people at this point. They're a little lost as to what to do when they get home, or they don't understand or know, or they don't have the support system in place for those next steps and kind of what to do from there.
Mhm.
um, so I think it will be helpful to those, and I think it'll be helpful to others, just the broader audience of people that are just feeling uneasy. They know something's not quite right, but you can't put they don't really know what it is. They think they
Mm.
have no reason to complain. Why should I complain about my life? My life's pretty good, right? It's not perfect, but gosh, it's pretty good. Why should I complain? And it's not really a complaint. It's more about expanding to be who we want to be. And I really think that the first key to that is opening your awareness. Because if you have no awareness, if you can't really sit down and start to acknowledge and do an assessment of where you are, what's working for you, what isn't working for you, what makes you happy, what are you living that's not making you happy, where you feel constrained or restricted, to really start to go through those things. I think the key that goes in the door is unlocking that awareness.
Mhm.
Mm.
Um,
Beautiful.
so that's what I'm hoping to do.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yay.
Beautiful.
Yay. So, Anita, before we wrap up, did you have any final words for this fabulous one?
I would love to end it with one thing, because I was also a part of the Ignite publishing team, and
Mhm.
co-authored a book along with 33 other amazing people. And I know that in the book, Ignite the Hunger in You, that is going to be released soon, but it's available now in ebook. I know in the chapter that you wrote, there is a power quote, and I would love it if you could leave us with that.
Oh, yes, please.
Absolutely. My power quote is, sometimes the right thing to do is the hardest.
Mm.
Sometimes the right thing to do is the hardest. Whoa, I just got like goosebumps
Yeah,
everywhere.
I've got them too. It takes a lot
Perfect.
of courage to step out of the comfort zone. And a lot of us operate automatically, right? We're just automatons. We're doing what we think we should, or what we were told, or what society expects, or just whatever. And you know it's difficult to step out of that. So sometimes the right thing to do is the hardest.
Mm.
Wow, beautiful.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, lovely, amazing, independent, intuitive listening dynamo. I am super excited for you and your journey, and what is yet to come for modern consciousness, the Ignite book. Thank you to everyone for tuning into this, participating. We'll make sure and leave links below.
Absolutely.
On behalf of Anita and I, Stacie, thank you so much. Feng Shui with Cheryl, Feng Shui with Cheryl. See, I'm putting myself first. Feng Shui with Anita and Cheryl is our YouTube channel. You're watching the Flock playlist. And we have just wrapped up another awesome episode with the one and the only Stacie Shifflett.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies.